Got a headrest for a Cadillac 1990 Fleetwood. Too small for a TV. So I'm going to turn this into this. I got all the parts ready here to build the other one. I'll show that, and then I'll come back, show the process of covering that. Alright, I got the cover stripped off this one. I use a little fish fillet knife. Got my phone with. Inside here is a slot for other model vehicles to put the seat belt holder screw right here to hold that on. This car didn't have one, but it still has a spot for it in here, so that's what I'm using to hold this in place. I've countersunk the hole here so the screw will sit flush. Attach that. Also had to make a spacer for this panel to sit on. You can see it behind that corner. Every video. So, we'll screw these together. Always drill pilot holes, or it'll split the wood. Okay, next step, I've cut out the notches for all this to fit, and I've marked the rest I need to cut out. Those metal tabs in there sit at an angle, so I had to bend them straight. It's not real stable right there, but once we staple all this together, it becomes real solid. So screw the other side on, and I'll come back, have this stapled. Alright, the next step, I've got this stapled together. Let's just staple this piece in place and then sand the edge nice and rounded. I have to do a little more sanding on this one too. Here mainly. Then we'll cover them with some poster board. I think. It's the first time I've built these, so I don't know. It's not really thick enough. Either cover it with 2 layers, a poster board. I wish I had some chipboard, I don't. Chipboard is like normal, not normal cardboard, but it's a thinner, a lot thinner than the black board they use. Yeah, we'll see how this works. We'll do that on another step. Alright, I'm starting to wonder about this poster board. I think it'll be alright. It looks rough, but I've got to go over it with a 1/2 inch foam, and there'll be a 1/4 inch foam in the actual cover. So that thickness of foam should cover up all imperfections. And it's solid enough for a headrest. I didn't want it rock hard. I wanted it to have a little give in it still. The originals, even this foam is pretty dense, and then there's a hard board behind, about a 1/2 inch deep. Alright, so I'll get this foamed up next, and I gotta go back and show you the first step, which I'm sure I'll edit back to the beginning of the video, and I'll show you how to come up with the cover. I've already started it here. Let's go ahead and do it next. I'll have that foamed up when I cut back, and this one up to par too. I'll have both of them foamed up when I come back. Now to make the cover, first I'll take a marker. I'm going to put a seam right here on this edge. There's going to be a seam follow on this edge all the way around, and then a top stitch, a single top stitch of thread going around the edge of that. So to find these 2 pieces of material and put marks on them, this is how I start it. I put marks on a bigger piece it would be every 6 inches or so, but since it's a small headrest and I want it to be accurate, you'll see what the marks are for here in a minute. But anyways, put my mark on the side and top, and I measured. This was 12 inches wide, and if you've seen any of my other videos about sewing, which I don't have many, I just did one, that's why I mentioned that, and talk about adding the seam allowance here. Sorry about that pause. Seam allowance of a 1/2 inch, so 1/2 inch on each side, that's 13. And I don't quite do a 1/2 inch seam allowance, I do 3/8. So really it's going to be 12 3/4. But I'm going to stay with 13 because of all the foam that we're adding. Okay, so anyways, I cut out a piece 13, and I measured around this way also, adding about 2 inches to wrap around underneath on each side. Come out to 20 inches. So I've got a piece here 13 with the added seam, and 20, or actually 19, excuse me. That's the added 2 inches on each side that way also. So I've got that piece cut out. I've laid it around here, held it in place, added the marks onto the material exactly where they're going to be. So that's the marks for this piece. Next, the sides are going to be a solid black. They're not going to be the ostrich. So I'll lay this here and make a pattern for this one. Let me show you what I'll do here. Of course, on the outside edge where the seam is, we're adding a 1/2 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch because of the foam. And right inside of here, we're adding more because this needs to wrap inward and be able to staple around the side, the inside. So we'll add a couple inches, 2 or 3 inches down here, about like that. Let me squeeze this on here a little closer because I'm about out of that material. Now I can add the marks and everything as I trace this because I can see where I've marked it on the front and side. I used to measure out a 1/2 inch. I've been doing it so long I can eyeball a 1/2 inch just about perfect every time. Go with that right there. I'll draw that line just for reference. Make sure not to cut it, of course. So from this one piece we can get all 4 sides. Copy it one more time this way and then flip it over and do it a copy of it the other way. Now I'll make small notch cuts. Fold it. Barely notch it. You don't want to notch it any further than the 3/8, 1/2 inch. Some people, factories, used to notch theirs this way. Just a small straight slit. Easier to see like this, and quicker to me. Just got used to doing it like this. So there's our pattern for the side. I'll add the foam next, and I'll be back with all that. Show you the sewing on this, and we're going to add foam to these 2 pieces also before they're sewn together. Alright, back to my music. Alright, this one's foamed up, ready, or both of them are. I'm going to cut this one out still. It'll be nice and smooth. It's going to work out. Next, I want to add some foam to these pieces, a thinner foam, be 1/4 inch. I just use mild adhesive, comes out like a webbing. And do that to all these pieces. And cut it out. Alright, got one finished. Turned out good. I just hope and pray it fits right. Let me go see. And I'll go back and do the other one. by step pretty much. Here's a Cadillac. I did these seats about 3 years ago. And there's the headrest installed. Still looks normal size from the front. And it did fit very nicely. Sat snug around here. I had a TV in there, 11-inch, with an ostrich wrap bezel, but it got stolen within those 3 years of me doing these seats. The car was being worked on for a long time. Well, I'm glad I didn't have these in there too. They would have been tore up and stolen also. At least I got them on film right now. I don't think I got any pictures of that. And it was nice too. It was a nice little setup. But we're going to do it again and add one in the glove box area. So there'll be two 11-inch screens up there. Oh man, I had some good music playing and got carried away. I went on ahead and sewed it together. My bad. Well, anyways, those marks we had helped me for when I was sewing. So I lined up each piece of material just right. So then I did a top stitch around the edge. Now to get that on here, the other one was a pain. It was like, it was like wrestling. So I'll get this one on. Alright, after getting the cover sewn up and slid over the headrest, I'm going to staple all the, use a pneumatic staple gun with 3/8 staples. Staple all the edges down. Trim this corner a little bit. That'll be it. I'm going to be ready for the TV. Cut this hole out, put the TV. Go all stapled, housing put in. Doesn't have a tab, peel it off. That was it. Alright, anyways, get this one in, be done with those. There's both TVs installed. He wanted a fiberglass bezel. That's what he got for free. Fiberglass needs some work. Installing clips, all that good stuff. You can always go back and make another one though. So I'm making one to match this one. Oh, wax that bad boy. Huh.